What's going on, guys? This is Bobby Douglas, and this is just part 2 of the Keon Johnson full game breakdown. So let's get right into it. He's going to be number 45 in the white. So in the first half, we saw a little bit of everything. He's had 7 points, had a few good defensive sequences, and so we will continue to watch him and see how he does in the second half. I just got done watching, let's see if anything else there. Just got done watching Utah and the Clippers. Very good game for game 1. Keon with a pretty good stun. I think he might have gotten a hand on that loose ball as well. So this is what I mean, where sometimes, I talked about this in the first half, where he kind of just like runs himself out of position in a way, right? So like right here, so first off, he's going to overhelp, right? And then he has to be recovering late to the shooter, who's also his man. And he's totally going to bite on the first pump fake, right? And then nothing really comes of it, right? But just, he's almost like too quick and too energetic for his own good at times. And we saw that right there by him bumping on the shot fake, kind of getting out of position and everything. So, overall, I like his activity. I think that's a positive, but sometimes he just gets a little bit too, like, ambitious, I would say. And it leads to some kind of just over-helping, over-committing, things like that. See right here, good job by not trying to force anything, and he just going to get it back out. Realizes that nothing's there. And again, I think he has pretty decent feel for someone who didn't play organized basketball full-time until high school. So I think that's like kind of impressive. You got to remember that as well. So that's why I also think the developmental curve with Keon Johnson is probably like steeper, I would say, when it comes to some of these other prospects who have been playing for so long. We see it with guys like Joel Embiid and people like that, who they start playing basketball later, and then all of a sudden their rise is just kind of meteoric and exponential. So I think like seeing Keon and seeing how he hasn't really played organized basketball as much as these other guys have, I think that probably shows a little bit of just kind of like the upside and just like the developmental curve that you'd maybe be hoping for if you're drafting him. As we got a foul right here. I think an offensive foul. Tennessee blew this game open early, and then they kind of just let it slip away almost. I think they ended up winning by like 10. It got kind of too close for comfort towards the end. But they ended up winning. This Tennessee team, too, was just... I mean, like, if you guys followed me in the during college basketball season where I did a lot of videos, I said that Tennessee was one of the 3 teams that I could see beating Gonzaga. The other 2 were Michigan and Baylor. And... so again, really nice job, and there is well, I'll just shut up and let you guys watch this again. So this is like the explosive athleticism on display. Give and go with Fulkerson. 3, 2, hammer! Like, that's just, you can't, I want to watch this again, just, bam! You know what I mean? Look how his face is at the rim, just yams it on him. Like, that's kind of that's the Keon Johnson that NBA teams really want to see, and that's why they're so excited about him. That just an incredible dunk, really. Not much else to really say about that. I'm sure we'll see a better replay here. And he gets the ESPN close-up. Give and go with Fulkerson. Good cut. Woo! That is nasty. Good Lord. I mean, I'm going to keep watching this replay as many times as they're going to show it. He's got that one-handed hang on the rim, kind of swaggered with it too. It's kind of speaking, because I just finished watching Utah Clippers game 1, so it's kind of, and we'll see it again here. Ooh, it's kind of like, just because it's probably fresh in my mind, but it's almost Donovan Mitchell like his like explosion for a guy his size. I think Mitchell's probably like 2 or 3 inches shorter than Keon, but still, there's kind of still that like kind of that quick trick twitch explosive burst. As looks like, oh, never mind. That Donovan Mitchell has, and I think maybe that's something similar with Keon. Maybe that's kind of like the path people want him to take. He's a lot more raw than Donovan Mitchell was coming out. I was high on Donovan coming out of the draft too, so I was probably higher on him than most. So I probably considered him a better prospect coming out than I would Keon, but like just that kind of, that bounciness from a guard spot, like, lots of highlight plays should be in his future. We got a foul here. This second half, by the way, was like very choppy, especially towards the end of it. So I'll do my best to try and like sift through all the nonsense that happens. And here Keon's on the ball, and again, like really good stance, locked in. He gets low. Got another foul here. Now he's one pass away, and again, kind of in that, yep. Tries to stunt me, got another foul. I think that's a third one on the possession. That one's on Vescovi. And so this is what I mean. Like, the second half gets super just, he got another foul. That's the fourth one, I think, on this possession. So, I mean, it gets super just, very just, touch and go. But you know what? This is SEC basketball, people. Like, this is what it is. I feel bad. I've given you a very heavy dose of SEC basketball to start off these breakdowns, and for that I apologize. I think 5 out of the... And so right here, okay, so this is what I mean. We talked about in the first half how that spin move gets predictable, right? So they know, Georgia knows it's coming, right? So Keon wants to do the same thing, spin over either shoulder, right, and elevate. Georgia's just going to come up and pick his pocket from behind. And this is what I mean, where like he needs to get a little bit more diverse in his offensive attack because he doesn't have the handle or the fluidity to really beat his man off the dribble and get all the way to the basket. He has a good first step, and that allows him to beat him to get like to the free throw line extended area, but he can't really penetrate any further just on straight line drives. And so he often resorts to this kind of spin move, and Georgia knows this really well, and it's just easy pick, and so that's going to happen to him a lot. Like, those are the types of turnovers that he really has, a lot of the time. But I just want to replay this too, because he's already all the way back off the turnover, and like, look at how high he jumps, right? He almost blocks that shot. And so like, I do like that he hustled and got back after the turnover. But yeah, just like the predictability on offense, I think, is something that he needs to work on. What was I saying about... Damn, I lost my train of thought before that. I gave you a very heavy dose of SEC basketball, and for that I sincerely apologize, because nobody should have to endure this. You got free throws here, and I think... Yeah. But yeah, nobody should really have to go through the amount of SEC basketball that we've watched in the last week and a half or so. And again, right here, really nice job by Keon moving his feet, and he somehow blocked. So again, like, he's gotten... I think this is going to be his third foul, and they've all been really shitty calls, in my opinion. This one, like, he's clearly level with him. He kind of bumps him with the chest a little bit. But overall, I'm not really sure this is a foul, but he still is able to block this shot, right? And so they're going to review this for goaltending, right? But you can see him right here, moves his feet really well, stays with him stride for stride. And then, right, like, he's already knocked down, and just look at the explosion, right? Like, nobody normal is blocking this shot. I know it's called for a foul here, but nobody in this position, right? So this is Keon right here. You can't even see him, really, because Josiah Jordan-James is blocking him. Look at the Georgia guy. He's right here. He has a pretty wide open layup, right? Nobody is able to block that shot like that, right? And so the athleticism right there, this second half, we've really shown, like, just how explosive he really is. And so right there, that's like a ridiculous play, even though there's a foul call. And we got him out for the next 15 minutes because he gets into foul trouble with 3. And so I'll skip ahead a very long amount of time in YouTube time, 15 minutes in YouTube time. And here we go. So now we're already down to, I believe, 9 minutes. And then he's in for the rest of this game. But yeah, he was out for a big chunk of that second half just because he picked up his third foul pretty early. And yeah, so this is the last 9 minutes of action. Doesn't come out for the rest of it. And we'll see what he does. You can see him trying to get into that post. Bad pass from Victor Bailey Jr. That's not Keon's fault. Again, you can see him right here. Like, maybe I would have liked to see him maybe meet the driver a little bit earlier. But you can tell he's trying to go for this little late block. And nobody's really getting that close to it. And nobody's really trying to attempt those shots, those blocks in the NBA. So I think that's pretty impressive that he's just kind of thinking about it and trying to see, like, where can I be most effective. And maybe it's not the most traditional way, but... I'm going to try and impact this shot the best I can. Ultimately leads to a miss. But maybe I would have liked to see him maybe meet the driver a little bit earlier. But I can appreciate kind of like the visionary effort from Johnson right there. You can see him right here again. Like, he's in the post, can't really shake his man, doesn't really have a good handle, right? He's off balance, almost turns it over. Those are the types of plays where you're just kind of like, okay, we need him to be a little bit more polished. if he's ever going to be an effective offensive weapon in the NBA. And I believe George is already in the bonus, so we'll skip all these. So Keon's in like that dunker spot right now, going to come off a pin down and get the ball on the wing. Not much going on here. And again, he's going to cut through. I think he could be a pretty good cutter too, just because he's so quick and so explosive that he could probably he can probably create space without the ball pretty well. He wasn't really utilized like that a whole lot at Tennessee, just because like this Tennessee offense was kind of just like, personally, I think it was kind of a train wreck. So that's just like, it didn't really get to show a whole lot as a cutter, I would say, at Tennessee, but I think that definitely is a skill set worth monitoring for him. And again, so we got 7.5 minutes. Both teams already in the bonus. So gear up for a long second half here. Not much going on there for Keon. And here we go. Tennessee was trying to push the pace a little bit. This is at the point in their season where, they were struggling offensively. And Rick Barnes wanted to try something different. They tried to push the pace. Obviously, it didn't really work because they were a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, and then they ended up losing in the first round. Let's see what Keon does here. So again, right here, like this should he's not gotten a friendly whistle this game. This is what he needs to do more of, right? So right here, you can see it's a little bit uncomfortable for him, but I do like that he managed to go Euro step over to smaller defender, right? He's a little bit off balance, and he tries to throw it down. That maybe should be a layup, but, maybe a foul call there. But I do appreciate that he's trying to, diversify a little bit, not pulling up off of 2 feet and trying to force that 8-foot jumper. He takes it strong to the rim. In transition, he's obviously a lot more dynamic than he would be in the half court in those types of situations. So I appreciate the effort right there. He just couldn't really get it to go down. Tried to dunk it again. I probably would too if I were 6'5" and explosive and just had a poster dunk about 15 minutes ago. But regardless, I think he probably could have laid it up right there. Not a huge left-handed finisher. And again, just like that overall polish just isn't there, as I've mentioned several times. I believe we got a nosebleed right here, so this is a huge delay. And again, this guy, I hope he ended up fine. I'm pretty sure he did. But in terms of obnoxious delays, injuries and reviews, the SEC is just the top tier of annoying basketball to watch, I would say. Just every single game, there seems to be just a huge delay at some point or another. It's very frustrating whenever it happens. And it's usually a review, and it'll be one team's up by 12 with 3 minutes left. You're just waiting for the good ACC game on. And then all of a sudden, Ole Miss and Mississippi State have a review to, look at for the next 10 minutes, So, good job by Keon recovering that pass. That was a bad pass by Fulkerson, I think. Again, so right there, he's not going to... Okay, and again, right here, so he does a really nice job kind of splitting the defense right here with that jump stop, right? And he just needs to just get a little bit more comfortable with that floater finish. And you can see he kind of almost jumps himself away from the basket, and you can tell it kind of screws with his momentum a little bit. So he needs to be able to kind of just change directions a little bit faster, because right there, I want to replay this again. I'm almost positive he had an open lane to the basket. So yeah, if he just kind of cuts through right here again, he could probably get a better shot. But you can see he kind of has to settle for that floater, that in-between shot, and those are always tougher to finish. So just kind of just being a little bit smarter with his drives, and being a little bit more in control, and just getting a little bit more polish overall is probably something worth doing. What a bad bite on that pump fake by Vescovi. We got Keon here. Got a little bit turned around right there, but gave a decent contest. Not his best defensive sequence right there, but he always stays with the play. That's one thing too. He's not going to give up on a play just because he's out of position initially. That's kind of impressive, I think, for a college freshman to kind of have that type of maturity. And here's Jaden Springer, going to be a jump ball, and it looks like Tennessee ball. Here's Keon coming off a pin down, off the inbounds. Not much going on. And again, right here, just another example where he goes right to this post up, and then he can't really create anything out of it, right? And so he has to kick it out. Granted, there was no real driving lane right there for him. Could he have exploited it? But still, just kind of like he doesn't really know how to create separation and positive momentum going forward towards the basket with the ball in his hands just yet. And so he shows flashes of kind of that mid-range scoring arsenal, right? But it's just so raw right now that it's kind of hard for me to really buy him as a top 6 guy. I think defensively that makes his floor like super high, and so that's why I'm comfortable with him in a top 10. But just in terms of just like top 6 like superstar talk, I'm a little bit more tempered on that. And you can see right here just the elevation. Right, he's going to spin over that left shoulder, rise and fire, and that's what I'm talking about, like the elevation. He squares himself up again in midair, right? And so the elevation allows him to buy some extra time to do that. And then he can just shoot right over guys. So I think that's something very effective for his NBA career moving forward, that he can pretty much get his shot off at any time in that mid-post area if he could just get over one of his shoulders. We got another foul here. 4:48 left. Yeah, and right there you can just see him rise and fire. The elevation is very good. Here we go. Not much going on. Tennessee breaks that press. See, Keon's got 11 points. He finishes with 11 points. He averaged 11 points for the year. So, again, I try to pick games that maybe aren't necessarily the best. Maybe they're not the best games for the prospect, but probably like the best representation of their overall profile. Since the way I'm doing these videos, that obviously we're looking at one game, so I got to make sure it's kind of like pretty evenly tempered and everything, good and bad. So I can't really show you, unless it's like a rare occasion where I just think it's a fun game. Like we watched the Trey Man 30-point game a few weeks ago. Unless it's like a fun game like that, I usually won't show like the best games that prospects have had. If I want to highlight certain things that are, I consider weak points. So are there more exciting games to watch if you're really looking to like buy into the upside of a player? Sure. But for me, that's not really what this is about. I'm trying to give you the most like honest representation of the player that I can probably find in a single game setting. And that's kind of always been my philosophy. Sometimes you're limited by the amount of games available on YouTube, but with the Draftmatic. So right here again, I don't know what. So he somehow gets this pass off. And again, right here, he's a blur in the open floor, right? He's kind of out of control. He jump stops, slips, doesn't want to pick up that charge again, right? But he slips, manages to just get this pass off. I guess it's a good play, but, whatever. But yeah, no, my overall philosophy is trying to show like the average game for a prospect, right? What could you expect from him on any given night? Not the lows, not the highs. We got another foul here. And the media timeout. I think Severe Wheeler transferred somewhere. Actually, I'm actually going to look it up right now because he was a good player for Georgia. I just can't remember where he transferred. I want to say it was like Kentucky. As I think we're going to get a foul on... I think that's Wheeler, yeah. Severe Wheeler. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right. Kentucky. So I was right. So Kentucky's going to be an interesting team next year. They got Ty Washington coming in as a freshman. They got Severe Wheeler. I think they got another good guard that I can't remember the name of it. It's another transfer guard. And so right here, you can see, I think this is Keon with the block. So again, staying with the guy stride for stride, right? And he's just going to block it from behind. Like, that's insane. I think that was a block. Regardless, it's a good contest. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. I need to zoom in on this. I'm sorry, but... So I'm just going to try and zoom in on this. I want to see... I think he got a hand on that, which is just absurd. Like, how does anybody get a hand on that, right? The anticipation that it takes, the timing. So defensively, like, he can meet people at the summit. When I was actually watching this game before, doing this video, I actually thought the guy just hit the rim on that. But apparently he blocked it. And so that's just an incredible block. You can see right here, though, other end of the spectrum, offensively, too predictable. He loves going to this spot right here. Wants the SEC. I'm telling you, the SEC logo. He's going to jump stop. Georgia reads that perfectly, and they're just going to strip the ball away from him. That's going to happen with him a lot. We got Tennessee in the open floor. Oh, fine. Oh, my God. Oh, my. Can I just replay? This is just so aggravating. This is why I could not stand Tennessee this year. Plays like this. Hello. 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 What the fuck? Throw it now. Makes my blood boil. So we got Jaden Springer kind of just taking the air out of the ball right now. He's going to post up. Looks like in that mid post. The Tennessee guards really liked getting to that middle of the lane area. It's a big shot from Springer, though. Springer's another interesting guy. He was actually ranked higher than Keon Johnson coming out of high school. I watched him at IMG. I wasn't super impressed with him. He's obviously like a first-round pick on my board. But I wasn't like super excited about him coming in. But he had a pretty good season for Tennessee. Shot the ball pretty well. Showed really good defensive instincts, things like that. So, but I watched a few games of him at IMG, and I just remember he was playing Montverde, and he was like a turnover machine. Granted, that was a Montverde team that basically was probably the best high school basketball team ever assembled, with Cade Cunningham, Moses Moody, Scotty Barnes, Day'Ron Sharp, Caleb Houston, Derek Whitehead, I think, was on that team. Maybe, I don't know if Jalen Duren was on that team yet, but. So here's Keon with the Iverson cut. Let's see what he does here. And again, so right here, this could be a left-handed finish, right? He just doesn't really have the fluidity or the grace to finish near the rim. Good job using that strength to kind of bump this defender off, right? And he just can't really get enough lift, or touch to really finish this. We head into the final. So again, good recognition, and that's what I mean with Keon right there. We saw that pass to Fulkerson. So he recognizes things. He picks things up quickly. It's just a matter of just kind of drilling it into his head where you're just kind of okay, this is where you got to go. Ball skills, fundamentals, pass accuracy, things like that. Because I think, again, remember the binary passing vision scale. I think I'm going to create that. The binary passing vision scale, 0 or 1. Do you have passing vision or do you not? And Keon Johnson is a 1 on that scale, which means that he does have passing vision. Obviously not as developed as, a Cade Cunningham or a Sharif Cooper. But I think the general, trait, it's a hit there, And so this is what I mean. We got the official review with 1:13 left. The game's pretty much over, barring some miracle for Georgia. Got the whole thing going on, there's 1:13 left, Every single game in the SEC, there's some weird delay. Keon's good job fighting over that screen. That should have been an offensive foul, I think. But now it's a 6-point game, minute left, so things are kind of heating up game pressure-wise. They're going to get it into Keon. And again, dangerous pass right there to Springer, but I think Severe Wheeler was kind of sleeping, and Springer's just going to lay it in. But that's dangerous. Got another foul here. Got the press. We got a timeout. Springer getting fouled, I think, before any shot went off. And again, Keon, good job kind of forcing his man towards the baseline, making it make that difficult pass to the weak side corner. See him right there. And then I think this is going to be another foul. Keon with the ball right here, getting it to Victor Bailey Jr. Got 30 seconds left. We got another foul. And you can see they're already bringing out the video credits. So Keon right here, he's going to, really nice job just staying straight up, moving his feet. And again, I think they call it charge on that. Again, how is that a charge? I think even so, I think Keon knocked it out off of him. I want to see this again. Yeah, oh, okay, never mind. There's a discard right there. Okay, that's a good call. But again, we got another foul here. Just basically la-di-da, Scovey. Here comes We got another and one. Like like this game just wouldn't end, and then he's got like all this stuff. Another foul coming in 3, 2, 1. Blah blah blah. Here we go. Skip ahead. Skip ahead. Skip ahead. Skip ahead. Georgia's going to. Not much going on. Another foul though, because this is just what happens in the SEC. More free throws. Here we go. 8-point game. Keon's inbounding the ball. He gets it in, and they almost turn it over. He slipped again. Damn. He's almost like running out of his shoes. But regardless, that's going to end it. We got through it, guys. Another SEC game out of the way. So good for you guys if you made it all the way through. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Keon's a very fun player to watch just because of his energy, his hustle, and just the burgeoning offensive skill that I think he did show flashes of at Tennessee. So hopefully you guys got a good impression of Keon Johnson. I think he's probably a top 10 guy on my board right now, but he's definitely in that 10, 11, 12 range right now. But yeah, overall, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow for Scotty Barnes. Really excited for that video, so stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, comment if you want to. You know, if you enjoyed the videos, the likes really help me out, get more views on these videos. So if you would be so kind, please like the video if you enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for Scotty Barnes. Thanks.